Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really taking on something significant, a deep dive into a moment that, well, it truly reshaped a city. We're going to try and unpack a really complex, very human story, drawing out what feels most vital from everything we've looked at. We are marking a very somber but incredibly important milestone today. It's the 20th anniversary of the London 77 bombings, observed July 7th, 2025. This isn't just marking time, it's a moment for deep reflection, isn't it? For London, the UK, and really for anyone thinking about resilience.
It really is. And we've spent a lot of time going through the material for this. Our aim isn't just, recounting the events, the what happened, but trying to get to the heart of why it still resonates so deeply 2 decades on. We want to grasp that immediate chaos, yes, but also trace that remarkable story of resilience that followed and look at the security challenges that, well, they're still very much with us.
The sheer scale is hard to comprehend. 52 people killed, over 700 injured, coordinated attacks right on the public transport system. Think about your own commute. That routine suddenly just shattered.
hmm It was designed fundamentally to create fear, to divide communities. But what really stands out, I think, is how that didn't quite happen. In fact, in that moment of crisis, the city, it seemed to pull together that unity, that defiance. It's one of those powerful things we found.
Absolutely. So let's journey back with us. We'll explore that day, the immediate fallout, and then crucially, how London carries that legacy forward today. It involves moments of, yes, terrible chaos, but also incredible courage and this enduring story of unity that just refused to break. Let's try and picture it. London, morning of July 7th, 2005. It's buzzing, isn't it? The usual weekday rush. Tubes crammed, buses moving, people heading to work, grabbing coffee. Just totally unaware of what was about to unfold. Just a normal Thursday morning until 8:49 a.m.
That's the moment. That's when the first wave hit.
I
And it
am.
was incredibly fast. Our timelines show 3 bombs going off almost simultaneously on the underground. Within just 50 seconds, it was clearly coordinated, timed for that peak rush hour.
And the locations tell their own story, don't they? The first one, Circle Line train 204, eastbound between Liverpool Street and Aldgate. 7 people lost their lives in that single blast. Just imagine the horror in that confined space.
Then, almost at the same time, another device on the Circle Line, train 216. This one was westbound, coming from Edgware Road towards Paddington. 6 more lives lost there. It shows the targeting of the city's, well, its arteries, really, trying to bring it to a halt.
But the deadliest attack in that first wave was the Piccadilly line. Train 311 heading south from King's Cross towards Russell Square. 26 people died in that single incident. The descriptions from down there, the darkness, the confusion, it's truly harrowing to even read about.
And it didn't stop there. Just under an hour later, by 9:47 a.m., the 4th bomb, this time above ground. A number 30 double-decker bus right in Tavistock Square. 13 people killed there. That brought the total, the terrible total, to 52 victims.
52 innocent people.
Yes. And if you include the 4 bombers themselves, homegrown Islamist extremists, Mohammed Sadiq Khan, Shihzad Tanweer, Jermaine Lindsay, and Hasib Hussein, the total death toll directly from the attacks reached 56. And it's so important to remember the victims. They came from 18 different countries. It just shows you the global nature of London.
It really does. And it's quite chilling to think the devices themselves, made from things like concentrated hydrogen peroxide, even pepper. Simple ingredients, utterly devastating results. And in those first chaotic moments, you had reports coming in. Some people thought it was power surges on the tube, didn't they?
Exactly. Initial confusion. Understandable, perhaps, but the awful reality coordinated terrorist attacks that became clear very, very quickly.
And the shockwaves, they hit the economy almost instantly.
Oh, definitely. The British pound took a significant dip against the dollar, hit a 19-month low. The FTSE 100, the stock market index, it dropped noticeably too. That immediate reaction, it just reflects that profound uncertainty, that fear gripping the city's financial core.
That initial market reaction must have felt quite ominous. But here's where something really interesting emerges, a kind of irony almost. London's markets, they showed this, well, this stubborn resilience. They bounced back much quicker than many predicted. Someone later called it a lesson in not betting against the city. That strength, that refusal to be completely knocked down, it was there almost straight away.
And that same determination, that resilience, you saw in the police investigation that followed. It was incredibly meticulous. They went through, what was it, something like 2,500 CCTV items?
Wow.
Yeah, huge amounts of footage, plus
Right.
all the forensic evidence.
Yeah.
Just painstaking work. And that's what ultimately identified the bombers.
And it marked a really grim milestone for the UK, didn't it? The first suicide attackers on British soil. The sheer scale of that investigation showed the resolve to understand exactly what happened.
And once they knew who, what did we learn about the why? There were those videotape statements, weren't there? Broadcast later by Al Jazeera. That's right. Mohammed Sadiq Khan's statement came out September 1st, 2005, and Shahzad Tanweer's followed on July 6, 2006, just before the first anniversary. In those tapes, they basically laid out grievances against Western foreign policy as their, well, their justification for these horrific acts. A really disturbing insight into their radicalized mindset.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, these attacks fundamentally changed security policy in the UK, didn't they?
Absolutely profoundly. The focus shifted massively towards homegrown threats. Understanding radicalization within communities became paramount. You saw this play out years later, for instance, in 2015, with the sentencing of Mohammed Rayman and Sana Ahmed Khan. They were actually planning an attack for the 10th anniversary.
Right, so the threat hadn't gone away.
No, exactly. It highlighted the need for constant adaptation, better intelligence sharing, more proactive community work. It just shows how one terrible day can fundamentally alter how a nation thinks about security for decades to come.
So now, fast forward. 2 decades on, London pauses to remember. July 7th, 2025. It was clearly a day marked by profound solemnity, focused on remembrance, but also, importantly, on unity. Things started at the 77 Memorial in Hyde Park.
That's where the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, laid wreaths. A really powerful symbolic act of respect, not just from them as leaders, but really on behalf of the whole country, for everyone whose life was changed or lost that day.
Then the focus shifted to St. Paul's Cathedral for the national service. Having the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh there, representing King Charles, it really underscored the national significance of the day, didn't it?
It really did. It elevated it. And inside St. Paul's, that's where some of the most, incredibly poignant moments happened.
Like a reading of the names.
Yes. 2 survivors, Thelma Stober and Saba Edwards. They stood up and bravely read out the names of all 52 victims. And as each name echoed in that huge space, something quite extraordinary happened. 52,000 white petals began to fall from the dome. 1 petal for every life lost.
Wow. Just imagine that visual.
Yeah. Like gentle snow in July. A cathedral filled with this quiet, shared grief, but also somehow a sense of shared remembrance, maybe even a thread of hope. It was starkly beautiful amidst all the sadness.
And the messages delivered on the day carried real weight, too. King Charles sent a message, read at the service, calling for unity.
He did. He said, "My heartfelt thoughts and special prayers remain with all those whose lives were forever changed," which is deeply personal. But he also issued this broader plea, didn't he? Let us continue to stand together, united in our diversity, and committed to building a society where people of all faiths and backgrounds can live together with mutual respect and understanding. A really powerful call.
It certainly is. And Prime Minister Keir Starmer, he made a very direct statement. Those who tried to divide us failed, which really captures that spirit of defiance, doesn't it?
It cuts right to the heart of it. But alongside that, there was also that necessary note of caution. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, she acknowledged the ongoing threats, reminding everyone that vigilance is still crucial. The security landscape keeps changing.
And bringing it right back to the human cost. Hearing from Daniel Biddle must have been incredibly powerful. A survivor who lost so much both legs, an eye in the Edgware Road bombing.
Yeah, hearing his perspective, his ongoing grief, it adds such a vital, raw human dimension to these commemorations. It reminds you that for survivors, for the families, the impact doesn't just fade after 20 years. Their stories are crucial for us to truly grasp the enduring legacy. They're testaments to survival.
So pulling it all together, 20 years later, what is the core legacy of 77? It has to be that incredible resilience of London, doesn't it?
Undeniably. The way the emergency services responded, the way ordinary people helped each other, the way the nation refused to be divided, that spirit is absolutely central to the story.
You really did see the best of people in the worst of times. Strangers helping strangers, that collective sense of we won't be broken. And yes, security has changed dramatically since then, focusing on those homegrown threats. But that need for vigilance remains.
Precisely. London's resilience is remarkable, but we have to acknowledge the challenges. As the Home Secretary pointed out, threats from different kinds of extremism, Islamist, right-wing, they persist. So it requires this ongoing vigilance, constant policy evolution. It raises that difficult question, doesn't it? How do you balance remembering and healing with dealing with very real current threats?
It's a constant balancing act, but it brings us back to that powerful irony we mentioned. The bombers wanted to divide London. They wanted to tear apart its diverse fabric, sow mistrust.
Instead,
Instead, they inadvertently seem to galvanize that unity. It speaks volumes about London's unique character, doesn't it? That famous line, even in the face of terror, Londoners can still queue for a bus with a smile. Maybe a bit tongue-in-cheek, but there's truth there. That resilience mixed with, I don't know, a certain stoicism.
kind of determined normality, perhaps.
Yeah. So as we close out this deep dive, reflecting on this major anniversary, what does it all mean for us? What are the key takeaways?
Well, I think what really strikes me is the sheer power of remembrance itself. Not just looking back passively, but understanding how these events actively shape who we are now, our collective identity. Then there's the vital importance of unity and diversity. That message from the king feels so crucial. And of course, the inescapable need for continued vigilance. The world keeps changing, and so do the threats.
That call from King Charles, continue to stand together, united in our diversity, live together with mutual respect and understanding. It feels like more than just words, doesn't it? It feels like a practical guide for strength, a challenge, really, to build the exact opposite of what the attackers wanted.
Maybe that's the ultimate lesson, 20 years on. The unexpected lesson. That a city like London, a city that famously never sleeps, even when it's shaken right to its core, it still wakes up. It wakes up stronger, more united, ready for the next day. And perhaps that teaches all of us something profound about our own capacity. Our capacity for endurance, for remembering together, and for finding unity wherever we are, especially when things get tough. How adversity, strangely, can sometimes forge even stronger bonds.